Hey guys, what's up? It's Jason Hamburg. This is the third video in my series talking about kind of the things that you need to do or should think about doing to get yourself set up and ready to go if you've just recently purchased a dirt bike or you're just kind of getting into the sport. Today I want to talk about tools and kind of the things that would be must-haves when you first leave the shop in order to maintain your bike and kind of work on things and get things set up. And then also I want to talk about the nice to have items, the things that over time are going to make life easier and just make working on your bike a heck of a lot better than using just baseline tools. So yeah, let's get into it. So kicking things off as far as tools are concerned, probably the very baseline place that you want to start is just a basic socket and wrench set. Something that you would get at like Canadian Tire or Home Depot or whatever that has all of the major socket sizes and then all of the major wrench sizes. One thing to consider depending on where you live in the world is that all motorcycles follow the metric system. If you live in the States operating mostly Imperial, and you have tools laying around your house that aren't metric, you're probably gonna need to go out and pick up some metric tools. Things like 8 mils, 10 mils, 12 mils, 13s, that sort of thing. That's typically the standard tools that you're gonna need or the standard sizes you're gonna need for most parts on the bike. If you don't already have those tools laying around the house, maybe it makes more sense to just simply get started straight into a dirt bike specific toolbox. You're probably going to be looking at a similar cost. When it comes to actually getting set up with dirt bike specific tools that are must-haves, there's a few things that I would recommend you look at picking up right off the get-go just to make life a heck of a lot easier. So first things first is a toolbox of some kind. This one is obviously far more robust than you need to get started, but there's a few things that I keep in here that I would recommend getting right off the get-go. If you want more details of everything that's in here, for the most part, there's actually a link somewhere here where I've done a video in the past all about my toolbox. So as I mentioned, all dirt bikes follow a metric measurement system as far as all the bolts and fasteners on the bike. So you're gonna want kind of a baseline from probably an 8 mil to a 12 mil. One of the things that goes a long way to help if you don't already have sockets or wrenches of some kind would be T-handles. They're just a really nice feel in your hands. They're really quick and efficient. And they actually, based on their style for these smaller fasteners, because you can't get a ton of leverage on them, it actually protects you from over tightening or stripping bolts. So a basic set of T-handles is a good place to start if you don't already have sockets or wrenches laying around. I think the other major thing that you should think about picking up would be a couple different screwdrivers. For me, the two main most important ones would be some sort of flathead screwdriver. Nothing major, but it's great for adjusting your suspension clickers, draining air out of your forks, adjusting your air screw if your bike's carbureted, and then also a Phillips head screwdriver. There's a bunch of different fasteners on your bike, very likely, that will require a Phillips head. If you don't know, that's basically just like a star head screwdriver. So again, two simple things. In a lot of cases, it's cheaper to buy like a full screwdriver set than it is to buy individual screwdrivers. I don't even know where these came from. They both look like they were some sort of World War II relics that we had laying around the house as a kid. Another valuable tool that I would say is a must-have would be some sort of pliers. Ones that I use the most frequently are just like a needle nose plier. Again, when in time, you'll end up picking up like all these different kinds of pliers and they all serve a specific purpose. But for the most part, if you get started with just a basic needle nose plier, it's gonna do most of what you need it to do. And yeah, it's just a good versatile tool to have. And then finally, I would say picking up a wrench and or socket that fits both your rear wheel axle nut as well as your front wheel axle nut is a good thing to keep with you. Having a rear wheel one is great because it allows you to, between this and a 10 and a 12 mil wrench, you can adjust your chain tension, which is something that you'll need to learn how to do. So having just this on hand at all times is great. As well, having a front wheel one is great in the event you, for some reason, need to take your front wheel off. But honestly, you could probably get away without having this if you had the rear wheel one. So yeah, realistically, as far as tools are concerned, what I just went over is probably close to enough to at least get yourself started. As I mentioned, refer to the main video where I fully go through everything that's in here. There might be some other things that you think would be super necessary to have, but yeah, getting started with just a quick set of T-handles, something to adjust that rear wheel chain tension is good, and a couple screwdrivers is probably all you need to get started. A few other things that are must-haves that I didn't really know where to put, so I put them in this video, would be just some of the things that you can use to transport your bike and also to store your bike. So first things first would be a set of like tie downs, dirt bike tie downs. One of the things that I see a lot of people struggle with is that there's two different kinds of tie downs. There's like a ratchet style, and then there's this clasp style tie down. For almost all parts of day-to-day life, these tie downs suck. It's really hard to get things tight comparatively to like a ratchet style tie down. But as far as in the dirt bike world is concerned, these clasp style tie downs are awesome. As you work your way up in like quality, you start to get things like on the bottom end, like a carabiner, so it's not falling off the hook, and you get like what are called soft ties, so you're not scratching your handlebars up. But honestly, I'd recommend just pick up a dedicated set of tie downs for your dirt bike. You only need 2. Keep those with your bike or in your truck or trailer at all times, so you just know and you always have them. Because yeah, chasing around a tie down when you're trying to go riding is just a pain in the ass if you have only one tie down because the other one's holding down some garbage in your old utility trailer or something. Just have a dedicated set. Another great thing to have in order to do maintenance, things like, again, tightening your chain, would be a center stand. Something like this. Wow. I don't know why I have this lifted up like this, but anyway, a center stand is really great. If you've bought a motocross bike, you might even realize that they don't even have a side stand. Off-road bikes have a side stand, but being able to put your bike up on like the main frame rails to adjust your chain or lube your chain or take your wheels off is a great tool to have, and I would argue a must-have. Worst case scenario, if you don't have it, you can use something like a milk crate with a couple 2x4s stacked up just to get that rear end up off the ground. I've seen people use even just like old stumps or chunks of wood is another thing that you can use. But having something like that to adjust your chain is important. One other nice to have item would be something to check your air pressure in your tires and then also adjust your air pressure in your tires. Like a good high quality bike pump is great to have. There's nothing worse than not knowing how much air pressure you have in your tires and or seeing that your tires are low but not fully losing air and not being able to fill them up. Obviously you can go to the gas station, but yeah, if you just have a nice bike pump handy, it's super easy to do and makes the riding experience better if you're running the proper air pressure in your tires. Talking about the nice to have things, like I mentioned, everything in here is really nice to have. But there's 2 things that I wanted to talk about that I think are valuable additions to your kit once you kind of start getting the ball rolling and start to acquire a toolkit. 2 of those things would include a separate dedicated toolkit for going riding. Some companies make really great ones, like I think Husqvarna and KTM, you can actually pick up like a branded version. They have kind of all the sizes that you would need for basic trailside maintenance. But you know, I just keep a selection of screwdrivers and wrenches, some multi-tools, that sort of thing inside this. I'll put a link above. I actually did up a video that was called What I Keep in My Usui, which is my hydro pack, but I carry this with me all the time, and in that video I actually go through everything in it. But yeah, having a dedicated set of tools just for out on the trails is great because it means you're not bringing stuff back and forth every single ride. It's just a cleaner way to go about doing things. And then the second piece, or the second nice to have item that I think would be worth keeping on the radar, would be a decent quality torque wrench. The reason a torque wrench is good, especially when you're first starting out, is it prevents screw ups. It prevents over tightening very key bolts that you're doing regularly, like say an engine oil or a transmission oil drain bolt, your forks or wheels or whatever that might be. In your owner's manual, it'll tell you a torque spec, and to have a torque wrench available to use is just a really good way to make sure that, like I said, you're not going to wreck anything, and you're also not going to be worried about stuff falling off. In time, you'll learn what different torque values feel like, but honestly, I've been working on bikes for like 20 years now, and I still use this every single time I change my oil, every single time I adjust my forks or put my handlebars on or something like that. So it's a really nice tool to have. Obviously, it's a little overkill when you very first start out, but keep it on the radar and add it to a Christmas wish list or something like that. That's pretty much all I can think of right now as far as the nice to haves and the must haves. Like I mentioned, watch the video breakdown that I did about everything that's in here. Watch the video breakdown where I talk about everything that I keep in my USWI, most importantly, everything that I keep in my trail bag. And yeah, if you have questions about tools or questions around what to prioritize if you're looking at building out your own toolbox, leave a comment in the comment section. Send me a message on Instagram. I'm happy to answer. This is kind of Pandora's box as far as what you can prioritize and what you can buy to build out something that's going to work best for you. But like anything, if you start with some of these basic suggestions that I've given you, you'll at least be going in the right direction to make sure that you can maintain your bike and keep it running without being frustrated or wrecking anything or just hating the process of bike maintenance. So that's all for this video. Stay tuned for the fourth video, which I'm going to talk about just kind of the very basics of going riding, things to think about right when you first start riding your dirt bike. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out the other videos in this series where I talk about gear and I talk about parts and maintenance and kind of the day-to-day supplies of things like oils and everything that you need, again, to make life better as a first-time dirt bike owner. So till next time, thank you.